Thank you, everyone. Hello. Very nice to be back here. All right, so I'm the head of product of Smartify. We were very lucky and honored to win the ArtTech prize 8 years ago. And here's a little recap of what we've become. So that was a long time ago in Lausanne, Switzerland, because you know the prize moves every year. And in the beginning, it was just 4 friends who wanted to make art and culture accessible for everyone. They created a social enterprise, so a company that works for the sector and with the sector, with this idea that they wanted to reach a wider audience. They wanted to create a tool that you can have in your phone at any time and that can help you visit museums and connect with the art and culture that is in front of you. We started with this idea that when you enter a museum, you're maybe overwhelmed. Maybe you have to download a new app every time. Maybe you don't know how this works, what you should be seeing, or maybe you have a very clear idea of what you want to see, but you don't know how to get there. And then for museums, there's a very high barrier for digital solutions, both financial and technical. And so we also wanted to create one team of experts who could help every and any museum around the world to create an amazing visitor experience. We started by pitching Smartify as the Shazam for art, so an app that could recognize any artwork and tell you what it was and what you could learn from it. And we evolved into a platform that really supports the visitor experience with XR, with VR for museums that are close to the public, with immersive experiences, even some ASMR experiences, kids, family tours, and also hardware for those who need hardware, because we all have a grandpa who doesn't have a smartphone and who needs a device still. We're now serving millions of visitors across the world. When we started, when we pitched at ArtTech 8 years ago, we were working with 30 museums across the world. Today, we're working with hundreds of museums across all continents. We have millions of users that have subscribed to the platform, and I invite you to do so today too. We've won many awards since the ArtTech. ArtTech was actually the second prize we won, but we've won 4 Webbies since then. For our tech, but also for the content we produce. So we have a studio inside Smartify of historians, creatives, voices, animators who also create experiences that have won some awards. Partnerships that shaped us. So we work with, but we work for the museum sector. We work with the National Gallery in London. We work with the Acropolis in Athens. We work with the Smithsonian, Princeton, and Yale in the US, and many more. We work with the Louvre now. I'm French, so I'm super happy to finally be able to work in my own country. The list is endless. And it's really an honor to be able to understand the pain points of each of these institutions and work with them to create solutions that fit their specific pattern for visitors. So I told you we're Shazam of art, and then we evolved, and today we can even power personalized experiences for visitors. So every visitor can have a different experience of the museum if it's a very big museum where a lot of things can be seen and experienced and heard. So how did we do that? First, we worked on the Shazam of art, and we still do that, and it's still an integrant way of discovering the museums that we work with. But a lot of venues across the world have audio guides, soundtracks, stories that they have to tell. So we created the best media player in the sector that has all the accessible features, the wayfinding to help you go from one place to the next, all the languages, the subtitles, the captions, etc. And really quickly, because we work with a lot of venues and we work with some venues that are very big, we ended up with a lot of audio tracks. And the reality is, if you enter the Louvre, if you enter the Met, if you enter the National Gallery, you're not going to be able to listen to everything they have to offer. So then we created the Smartify personalization, an experience where you tell us what language you prefer out of those that are offered by the museum. You tell us how much time you have, and you tell us what you're interested in. And it can be an artist, it can be a highlight, it can be a theme, anything. And then we will create a specific playlist, curated for you, that is exactly what we think could be interesting to you with the time you have during your visit. And because we work with a lot of museums, the logical next step for that was to create destination campaigns. So if you're visiting our partner at the National Gallery, maybe there's other venues around that you could also discover. And so we're recommending other venues around the National Gallery for the next visit. This is an even higher level to what I was explaining about destination campaigns. So one of the things that is really nice about Smartify is that it's a network of museum partners that are around the world. We gather together every trimester. We talk about the future of the platform, what is important to them, and together we build tools and solutions and experiences. So for instance, I'm going to show you a few experiences we created. One of them is Horizon 22 Skyline Scanner. So it's a very high tower in London. It's a viewing platform, and they have constraints that prevents them from putting signage. So if you're in front of the window, you see London in front of you. They cannot write, here you have Tower Bridge, here you have the National Gallery, this is Big Ben, etc. So we created an AR experience for them. And so you scan the sky, and we pinpoint in AR the different historical sites that are here. And because we work with all of them, we can then create very nice experiences, very nice stories that will tell the visitors of H22 what they could go see if they were going downstairs to visit the historic royal palaces, for instance. Another very cool project that we did was with Tower Bridge. They celebrated the 130th anniversary of their opening last year. And they discovered in their archives an old box of photos that the public took when they opened the bridge for the first time. You have to imagine north and south in that area of London were clustered. There was no bridge and you couldn't easily cross. So when that bridge opened for the people of London, it was a real change. And they took a lot of photos. And the Tower Bridge interpretation team wanted to make these photos available to the public, but also engage the public of today to make them realize how it was in the past. So we colored these images, we animated these images, and we created an AR experience where you can stand on the bridge today, and with your phone you can overlap the view from 130 years ago. Another project we worked on was with a partner who had to close a portion of its site to the public. The Cutty's Ark is an old tea clipper. You can visit it, but they had to close a portion for renovation. And so what we did is, using photogrammetry and animation, we created a digital twin, two digital twin actually, a real one and an animated one. And so visitors who were walking across the Cutty's Ark, they were not just bumping on a closed door when they were reaching this area. They were finding a space that we curated where they could use their phone to discover the inside that was currently closed for renovation and still project themselves into the life of the captain and the dog and everyone who was evolving in that space when the ship was on the sea. This is another very cool project. I'm just showing you different projects we did. So the soundscape is geolocation-based. We know where you are in the space, and based on where you are, we send you different sounds. We send you SFX. So if you're where the bell was ringing, you're going to hear the bell. If you're where the pigs were stored, you're going to hear the pigs. But you're also going to hear music composed by musicians, and you're going to hear weather. So if you're at the bottom of the ship, you're going to hear very muted weather because you cannot really hear it. If you're on the deck, of course, then you're going to hear a lot of weather. And so you've got the slider that allows you to yourself decide how much music, how much weather you want to hear. And you're going to hear and read different text when you walk across the venue. So that is a very nice immersive experience. You can scan the QR code if you want to learn more about it. And this is the last one I'm going to tell you about. It's not the one that gets us webbies. It's not the one that gets us press mentions. It's what I call the unsexy, because it's not really fancy, but it's maybe what has the most impact on both the visitors and our museum partners. We're using NFC cards. The example here is at Tower of London. So if you know Tower of London, it's a very big venue. You have the White Tower, you have the place where they were torturing people, you have the place where they were having the diplomatic animals like the elephants, etc. And you have the crown jewels. And this is always the most crowded place. So what we're doing is we're giving the guards of the crown jewels NFC cards. And when there is not a lot of queue to see the crown jewels, they can tap the card on their phone. And this gives an instant notification to any Smartify user on site that tells them now is the good time to go because there's no queue. And they use that for the cafe when the cafe is not too crowded. They use that for reductions at the shop, but they use that mostly for crowd management. And this is really precious for them. So that's a very cool project that we also worked on for several partners. I told you about the past 7 years. Very quickly, I'm going to tell you about the next 7 years. So we're using more personalization, we're using more AI to tell the story better and to more people and really reach them where they are, multi-layered stories, etc. We're building a community of art lovers, and we're building a community of museums who are really leading the sector to reinvent what the visitor experience could be. And we're always, of course, with this mission of having an ethical approach, an accessible approach, to make it available to all. So that's what we've become. Thank you for trusting us 7 years ago. Bravo to the pitchers and to the competition. I look forward to seeing who is going to win. It was a really amazing prize for us. It's one of the rare prizes that gives actual money and supports you, funds you for your launch. So thank you very much, ArtTech. Thank you very much, AVARA team. It's been a pleasure.